Yes, so we are looking at the oligopoly market structure and we want to understand this kinked demand curve, which is illustrating one of the main characteristics of an oligopoly, which is interdependence of firms. Firms in an oligopoly are trying to fight for market share. So they'll try to copy each other, especially when reducing prices. Okay. When increasing prices, it's rare firms are going to copy the others because they know if one firm increases the price, those customers will go to the other firm. Okay. But if one firm reduces price, then the other firms are also going to follow suit and reduce the price because they know if they keep their prices up and the other firms have reduced, those firms that have reduced are going to grab the market share. So this kinked demand curve, as you can see, okay, P, let's say on this diagram here, let's say P, this is the price that is being charged here, okay? This is the price being charged. You might say this is, let's say it's 50 kwacha, okay? So basically, or theoretically, in this illustration, let's say all firms are charging 50 kwacha for their product, okay? Let's say there are three firms in this market, okay, and each of them is charging 50 kwacha for the product. Now, as you've noticed, this demand curve above the price, demand is elastic, and below the price, demand is inelastic. So, if one frame, we'll start with scenario one. Okay, scenario one, where one firm increases prices. Okay, one firm increases the price. So if one frame increases the price from, let's say, 50 kwacha to 55 kwacha, the other two frames, because in this illustration I'm saying we've got three frames here, the other frames follow suit with this frame that has increased 50, the price to 55 kwacha. Why? Because they know that the frame that has increased the price, the customers, they're going to come to these other frames which haven't increased the price. Okay. So if frame one increases the price, customers are going to go to frame two and frame three because frame two and frame three are cheap. So what this means is the demand for frame one's goods is going to become elastic. Demand is going to become elastic. Colleagues, what does elastic demand mean? What is elastic demand? Colleagues, let's see, how many are you? Yes, I'll explain, sir. But before I explain, okay, I'll explain, sir. Do not worry. Oh, I think network is has got scenario one. They are even though I explained scenario one, it's not really going to. Okay, and it will give you an idea of what elastic demand is. So as I said, colleagues, there are three frames. Frame one increase each all the three frames are charging 50 kwacha. Frame one increases the price to 55 kwacha. Frame two and frame three maintain the price at 50 kwacha. So what's going to happen to frame one? Since they've increased the price to 55 kwacha, their customers are going to run away from frame one and they're going to go to frame two. So can you get the idea of elasticity in there? Then frame one increases the price and they lose a big chunk of their customer base because the customers have gone to frame two and frame three that are cheap. So from that illustration, what is elastic demand? Mm-hmm. Wonderful, madam. Colleagues, I think we need to clap. We can't just, we need to clap. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, madam. That's correct. Yes. Or could someone mute their mic so that so I should have just said it instead of suggesting. So, as Madam Lillian has said, okay, when we say demand, just hold on, some. When we say demand is elastic, it means quantity demanded is sensitive to changes in price. Meaning you can increase price by a small amount, then you find you lose a lot of customers. Quantity demanded will drop by a bigger amount. So that's why above the price in this kinked demand curve, demand is elastic because whichever firm tries to increase the price, they're going to lose customers because the customers are going to go to the firms that are offering the cheaper prices. Theoretically, ceteris paribus. Any questions before we go now to the inelastic side? Okay. Scenario two. Okay, all firms at first, all three firms are charging 50 kwach. Then firm one decides to reduce price to 45 kwach. Okay. What will frame two and frame three do? Since there's interdependency. Frame two and frame three have seen, frame one has reduced the price. What are they going to do? Mr. Emmanuel, Madam Beth, Madam Geraldine, it's been a long. Yes, they'll follow suit. They're going to follow suit. So when they follow suit, okay, they won't really lose much of their customers. Okay? They won't lose much of their customers. Okay. That's why we're saying demand is inelastic because when they follow suit, their customers will still stick with them. Okay. They'll still stick with them. So there might just be minor changes. Maybe firm one reduces price. Then these firms copy maybe the next day. Maybe that day the firm one reduced the price. Maybe they'll get a few customers from the other firms. But the other firms will respond by also reducing their price. And when they reduce their price, it will be like, hey, none of them has lost a lot of their customers. They'll still have their customers intact. That's why below the price in this kinked demand curve, demand is inelastic. When we say demand is inelastic, it is not responsive, it's not very responsive or very sensitive to changes in the price. Okay. So when one firm reduces the price, other firms will follow suit, and their customers, maybe few might switch. Okay, there might be very few, but overall, they'll still maintain their customer base. Any questions, colleagues? This red one here, this red one here, yes, the inelastic one from point A below here is inelastic. Then, then above point, this is the marginal revenue curve. So, yes, when the demand is switching from elastic to inelastic, that's why you see it cuts here. Okay, it cuts here, bam, then it comes out here. And notice on this graph, have you seen we haven't looked for the point of profit maximization? Because firms are mostly looking for a dominating market share. Okay, and this marginal revenue, the moment the demand switches from elastic to inelastic, that's why this one cuts here, the marginal revenue curve. It splits for a second, then comes out like this. Yes. Any questions, colleagues?